What is time? Time is not merely a succession of events in terms of past, present, or future. In lay terms, it is a measurement. Time is the byproduct of a universe that is always in motion. Before time, before the Big Bang, there was nothing until something happened, setting the universe and time in motion. Much of these events are theoretically already known to science. This book is a brief philosophy of time and the construct of time in our universe and daily lives. So what exactly is time, and does it really exist? Short answer, yes, time does exist. Many believe that time is a construct, it can be, or an illusion. It isn't. The notion that time does not exist is as unsettling as the notion that numbers don't exist. Numbers are immaterial but can represent material or immaterial phenomena occurring in the universe, whereas time certainly has the latter in its connection to gravity and space-time. While time and numbers are not macroscopic, both abstractions have a firm, or perhaps a metaphysical, place in the universe. It's not so much what numbers are as to what they represent. Time and numbers are similar because they represent knowledge, information about something, somewhere in the universe. Both represent a harmonious balance of metaphysical and material concepts, with numbers as a mental construct and time as an observable and naturally occurring phenomenon of space, gravity, and motion. The two concepts must also work together, because we need numbers to calculate time. They are very much part of the same family. If life did not exist in the universe, would numbers exist? Would time exist? If an apple falls from a tree in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? George Berkeley, 1600s. Answer: no. The apple's impact on the ground produces vibrating particles, sound waves, but doesn't make a sound until the waves are interpreted by the brain. While numbers are metaphysically floating around in our minds to help us make sense of the world around us, the existence of numbers are also dependent upon our mental constructs to perceive them. For time to exist, time must also be observed or perceived by something or someone in the universe. Not only must time have an observer, but its duration must be experienced in some capacity. Imagine if the observer and the universe were both frozen in place. Motionless, the natural environment unchanging. Erosion, decay, and the process of aging would not exist. Time would stop, and the duration of time passing by would not be experienced by the observer, because time does not exist in the universe without motion or gravity. The state of the universe would remain the same, like a photograph. Consequently, the observer would not exist at all in a universe without motion. Motion and heat in the universe causes all things to exist. Imagine if the universe was in motion, but the observer was not in motion. Acts of nature caused by motions, terrestrial or otherwise, in the universe would act upon the observer. Over time, the duration of the observer's lifespan would undergo various stages of change and eventually come to an end. If instead of an observer there was a rock or a mountain, both would erode over time, as the effects of time and change would be exerted on the rock or mountain by forces of nature. Time is duration and measurable change. Where time and numbers differ is that numbers help us to observe consistent and reliable patterns demonstrated by material and metaphysical entities in the universe, while time can represent a dimension, change, or the duration of a pattern or cycle in the universe. For Einstein, time as a fourth dimension is an intersection of where and when space and time meet. He wrote of gravity's effect on time, such as time dilation. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves. Conversely, he wrote that time is relative to motion. The faster you move, the slower time moves. In a more relatable context, if I were to travel from California to New York by plane, I would reach New York in a little over 5 hours. If I were to drive unimpeded from California to New York, it would take about 40 hours. The plane travels faster than the car, so time passes more slowly as I travel by air. Time is relative, see Einstein. Earth's rotation, which is how we measure time on this planet, hasn't changed, of course. In this scenario, time is moving slower in relationship to the velocity of the traveler. Time is the constant in this scenario, while the velocity of the plane and the traveler as it flies from California to New York is the variable. Other scientists expounded on the nature of time along the lines of the second law of thermodynamics and entropy, with the arrow of time pointing forward, Eddington, 1927. This means, as a general rule, that disorder increases with the passage of time, and that systems will transition from order to disorder. I can agree with this notion. Time does have some constancy. Everything in the universe, apart from electromagnetic waves like light, unravels, erodes, decays, or inevitably comes to some sort of end or transformation. Stars explode, implode, or eventually burn out, sometimes taking the nearest planet with them. Does eternity exist? If we follow the arrow of time, even the universe is subject to entropy. At some point in the history of the universe, there was order until the Big Bang, which resulted in the disorder that gave us an expanding universe. The universe likely went from uniformity and order to disorder and will continue to sort itself until equilibrium is achieved. Like stars and other matter in the universe, humans and organisms also die. Our bodies are subject to the arrow of time. From the moment we are born, our bodies and even the life forms around us are constantly changing in cycles we can mostly predict by monitoring the sky. We know that the sky is changing, moving us in a consistent and forward direction, even if those changes and patterns appear cyclical, a cycle that takes us from night into day and from day to night. We know the sun will appear in the sky around a certain time each morning, and if it doesn't appear, then something has come to an end, namely all of us. Where time becomes unpredictable is that none of us can predict exactly when the universe will die, or when we will die. Time can be vague, mysterious, and unpredictable, but also inevitable. If everything, including the universe as we know it, will eventually come to an end, what is the point of anything in life? Do we have a purpose? What was the spark that created life from a molecule? How did chains of molecules evolve from a non-living system into a system that developed the ability to replicate, into something primordial, into something that developed an innate instinct to survive, evolving over time until it developed mobility, the ability to consume, communicate, and even acquired a consciousness?